Hello, everyone, and welcome to Durrett Steak. Happy Friday. Let's get started. So it's been a while since I last posted, and again, I know I said this last time. I will discuss this NBA offseason at some point, but for right now, I actually still want to talk about college football. I'm gonna take a break from talking about realignment, because until something else for sure happens, I'm not gonna talk about rumors or anything like that. I know it is what it is. But what I do want to talk about related to college football is the different quarterback transfer movements this offseason and the coaching movements this offseason. So what I do is I want to go over each Power Five league and discuss, okay, who are the new quarterbacks, who are the new coaches, and what kind of like what's their outlook at least for the immediate future. So let's get started with the ACC. So the only big time transfer quarterback to come into the ACC is Keaton Slovis, who was the USC quarterback. He's now transferred over to Pitt as Kenny Pickett is now in the NFL. And in my move, this is a great get for Pittsburgh. Instead of going from winning the ACC to being in a full rebuild because Pickett moves on, you get a grad transfer QB who can still produce and compete, and he can help them compete. Now, I'm not sure if they're going to win the ACC again this year. More likely than not, they probably won't. But at least you're going to be at least competitive in that regard, and you're not going to dip down to mediocre status by any means. Next is in the Big 12. You got Texas. You got you got Casey Thompson, who was there, combined with Hudson Card, and now Hudson Card have to compete with Quinn Ewers, the transfer from Ohio State. He was like one of the highly rated recruits coming out, I think, of 2020 class, I believe. And there's a lot of hype about him. And if I'm Texas, I love this move. And that, from what I've been hearing, Hudson Card has definitely improved from year one, during this offseason, because there's definitely scientific inconsistencies during the season last year whenever he did start or play. So I mean, as as a next year evolves, you expect it to progress and all that. But based off last year, I didn't see enough from Hudson Card to be like, okay, I'd rather give Quinn Ewers, the highly rated recruit, a chance, assuming he deserved it. Throughout training camp, he won the battle. That's who I would go with if I'm Texas in order to compete this year, because you cannot have another losing record. If you're Steve Sarkisian, you need to at least make a bowl game. If not, get 8 or 9 wins in, because since Arch Manning is coming to town next year, it's like if you're Quinn Ewers, you gotta win the job, you gotta play this year if you want to get any playing time, because good luck being Arch Manning now. For Oklahoma, Caleb Williams is going on, same as Spencer Rattler, and now Dylan Gabriel is the new quarterback. He's the former UCF quarterback. For moving off, Caleb Williams, for who's one of the top quarterbacks in the country, Dylan Gabriel is not a bad replacement at all. He has experience under the new offense coordinator system. He has been in many big games before. He has the track record, the stats, of being a good quarterback. I feel Oklahoma has a great chance in year one, despite having a new head coach, new coordinators, and all that, and a new QB, of winning the Big 12. Now, I don't think they'll be a playoff-worthy type of team, but they'll definitely be good. A lot of people are saying, because their win projection, I think, is 9. A lot of people are like, you got to go under. It's just like, let's hold off on that. Kansas State, they have Skylar Thompson graduating on, so they have the Howard there, but now Adrian Martinez, the transfer from Nebraska, is now going to be there. I'm not sure why Adrian Martinez honestly transferred here, because I mean, again, he has to compete with now Will Howard, who was here, versus going to a team where they're searching for a quarterback and they desperately need one. He would be the incumbent starter. Now, a lot of people think Adrian Martinez will be a Howard, who's currently there and win, but never know till you never know. But if Martinez starts, assuming he starts, we're about to find out. All those one possession close game losses last year for Nebraska, we're about to find out. Okay, is that Martinez? Or was that Scott Frost, the head coach? Because if Nebraska starts winning those close games now, and Kansas State struggles with close games, then it shows, okay, Martinez is just not that dude. But if Martinez balls out and wins those close games, and Nebraska's still struggling, then we know, okay, now we know it's the coach. I mean, it could be a little bit both, but we're about to find out which one's which. Big Ten, speaking of Nebraska, since Adrian Martinez left, they got a new transfer, Casey Thompson, who I just mentioned, who came over from Texas. And again, this is interesting because, like I was mentioning earlier, Nebraska had all those close one possession losses. Well, the same thing could be said about Texas. And in those games, Texas were leading mostly every single time at halftime, and then they just collapsed. So it's like to have, not, a lead giver basically as a quarterback to come in Nebraska who had struggled. That's kind of an interesting dynamic there, but we'll see if Casey Thompson has success or not. Nebraska desperately needs to make a bowl game if Scott Frost wants to have a secure job there. They need to finally get over that hump, so we'll see what happens there. Pac-12, Oregon, Anthony Brown has left, and now they brought in Bo Nix from Auburn. Apparently, the Georgia offensive coordinator who came over has a connection with Bo Nix since he can tell how he was at Auburn and everything. Plus, Georgia's played Auburn, every single year now, so he kind of knows the feels what Bo Nix is. And I feel like this is a good move because you don't want to, again, with your Oregon, Mario Cristobal just left. You don't want to be in a full rebuild with a rookie head coach. You want to be at least compete, for the Pac-12 once again. So while Bo Nix is not spectacular by any means, he's a quarterback that could potentially get you there. And then in USC, you got, of course, Keenan Slovis and Jackson Dart both left, and now they have, of course, Caleb Williams, who came over with Lincoln Riley. I expect Caleb Williams to be superb this year. And I mean, I'd be very surprised if Caleb Williams doesn't look like the similar guy we saw at Oklahoma. SEC, Ole Miss. Speaking of Jackson Dart, I just mentioned earlier, Matt Corral's off in the NFL, so Jackson Dart from USC has now transferred over to Ole Miss. Now, he still has to compete with the quarterback who was there last year, who got the start in the bowl game due to Corral's injury in the Sugar Bowl game. But I expect Jackson Dart to most likely win out because he has more talent, in my opinion. But Jackson Dart definitely has promise. I mean, he was not in a good situation last year in USC because they're just a horrible team. But I think, being groomed under a good offensive-minded coach in Lane Kiffin can get him on that right track. Auburn, since I mentioned Bo Nix left, yeah, TJ Finley is there, but then you get the transfer Zach Calzada, who was basically A&M's starter for most of the year last year, who upset Bama, I'm glad Auburn is bringing in competition with Finley because I don't think Finley's the guy. I know he has 6 touchdowns, just 1 interception, but he was 0-3 as a starter, 30-something QBR. I didn't see there. I think Calzada, to me, is a very high-end backup, who can win a lot of games. But to me, even I think Calzada is a very high backup. I also think Finley's kind of a high-end backup as well. So therefore, I feel like Calzada has a chance to beat him out just by being the new guy there. And I feel like Calzada could potentially get them bowl eligible. Nothing more, but just bowl eligible. South Carolina, as we know, they get the new transfer in Spencer Rattler, who's looking to redeem himself after getting benched to OU. And I love this move if you're South Carolina. I mean, South Carolina is impressive to make a bowl game and win that bowl game to go 7-6, and they basically didn't have a really good, legit quarterback last year at all. But now, you get Spencer Rattler in there, and he can provide that dynamicness to the offense as there. South Carolina's defense, of course, not against teams like Georgia or Bama, but against other good teams along their level like Tennessee, Kentucky. They're a pretty good defense, and I expect it to be a good defense once again. So now if Spencer Rattler could just limit the turnovers and just play within the system, then he can lead South Carolina to a pretty good year. Texas A&M, as I mentioned, Calzada left. So now you have Max Johnson, who was the quarterback for LSU last year for most of the season, and he's going to have to battle out with Haynes Canes, who was a true freshman who started the first game last year and got injured a little bit way into that first game. So it'll be an interesting dynamic to see who wins that battle. If I'm A&M, since Mac Johnson, is more veteran presence and all that, I would go that route, but I can understand them going either way there. And then LSU, as I said, Mac Johnson left, and they have Jaden Daniels, who's now transferring from Arizona State. And Daniels was a potential first guy around going into last year, but then he just didn't perform well. Unfortunately, 12 touchdowns, interceptions, not going to cut, And I'm interested to see how he works against SEC defense. Now, the starter for the first couple games last year got injured, and that's why Max Johnson had to come in. So now that guy's healthy, Jaden Daniels has to come in and see if he can win. It's kind of it's basically the exact situation as A&M, that the opening starter gets injured early on the season south of last year, so now he has to come back and compete with a new transfer. Now, since Jaden Daniels is older, they're both old, but since Jaden Daniels has grad transfer and all that, it wouldn't make any sense for him to transfer there as a grad transfer if he was going to be at least splitting snaps, not being the full starter. So I expect him to start, but we'll see there. And then there's one group of five team to look out for. San Diego State has a pretty good group of five team, and they got a new quarterback in Braxton Brewmeister, who was the quarterback for Virginia Tech last year. So I feel like he can continue what the quarterbacks have been doing at San Diego State, basically just being game managers, laying that ground game, taking care of things. But as long as the quarterback can run and just be a game manager, do his thing, then you have a pretty good shot of winning the Mountain West. And then, of course, if you always win the Mountain West, then you're one of those G5 teams that's in consideration to get that New Year's Six bowl game slot. So that's it for today. Again, there's a lot of quarterback transfers that are going to be excited to watch and see A, if they win their quarterback competition, depending if they're competing with someone or not, and then B, just to see what happens this year. I'm looking forward to college football. Now, in another podcast at some point, I'll be going over all the new coaches and the P5 programs to see how they'll do. Well, thank you very much, and have a wonderful day.